Hey there guys, welcome to the Guitar Hour once again. I'm joined as usual by my friend here, Dan Smith.
Hello.
And Mr. David Beebee.
Hi.
I was going to say when I pointed at you, I was going to say Dave Bronze, which is why I paused slightly and went, hang on a minute, that's not right. That's not right at all, sorry about that.
Being very progressive.
Yeah, absolutely, he's on tour right now. In fact, Dave, I think he's doing maybe the first gig tonight, or at least rehearsals. So yes, we're joined by the fantastic Mr. Beebee again.
Yeah, it's good to be back. Yeah.
Yes. We've got a lot of stuff for you today actually. We're going to do it's kind of a gear focused session. So this is essentially, we're looking at two pedals. We've got the Boss DD500 and I received today the rather lovely Wampler Tumnus pedal. Now actually, I'm just going to move this window because it feels really weird when this window's not on that particular screen because it looks like I'm not looking at anything. So yes, we've got the Wampler Tumnus, which is basically I guess I can say it, a clon style overdrive, but for far less money and much, much smaller. That's down here. That arrived today. I don't think it's even been released yet, so that's a pre-release, pre-order kind of pedal. And then we've got the Boss DD500, which is an amazing delay pedal, which I managed to pick up the other day. And I've done a review for Guitar Interactive magazine and I fell in love with it, so I got myself one. So I'm going to show you that as well. And then for the rest of the show, we're going to discuss our approach to, because Dan and I have been talking about this quite a bit, video demos, video production, demo production, drum programming, the software and the hardware that we use for developing products basically that you can utilize either for sale for lessons or for using, say for my case with Lick Library, and Dan is going to be doing some Lick Library stuff as well at some point. Yeah, self-promotion. So there's skills basically that are required to
to keep up, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, that's it, really, isn't it? I mean, it is keeping up because these days you've got to have that skill set. And we talk about this all the time on the Guitar Hour, how as a musician these days, especially a guitar player, where the whole internet is saturated with guitar players, you need good video production skills, good audio production skills, good mixing skills, you need decent hardware, so on and so forth.
Photoshop and all that kind of
Photoshop,
stuff. Design, you know.
Absolutely.
It doesn't have to be, you know, employable standard, but it needs to be enough to make you look decent.
And we are actually in the presence of an absolute crazy master drum programmer, which I know he's going to laugh at. But I'll tell you a little story. When I was in Spain, teaching at Guitar Retreat Spain, which actually is happening again from Sunday this week coming, which is going to be great. Mr. Beebee was there, and we were talking. I don't remember how we got onto it. I think we were talking about like songwriting or something, and I was talking about how terrible I am at drum programming. And
songwriting then.
Well, that's probably the case as well. And we were chatting away, and you said something along the lines of, "Oh yeah, I'm quite into drum programming or something."
Yeah.
And I was like,
chatted, but
I was kind of I realised at that point that you would be a good drum programmer because why would you say otherwise? But man, it's insane, absolutely insane. I don't know how. I don't think we can actually. We might be able to play a YouTube video maybe.
you can put a link in there.
I'll put a link. Yeah, put a link in there. To listen to, Dave basically transcribed a Jonathan Kreisberg track and transcribed the drum track and programmed it in with all the dynamics and everything. It's, excuse the French, fucking insane. So absolutely amazed by that. So we'll be talking a little bit about that, not just in relation to drum programming, but in relation to producing demos. I've got a neat little kind of toy, and I'm going to use the word toy to show you, and if you've not seen it before, it's going to blow your mind. So, anything you guys want to tell us before we start? Anything you've been up to that's interesting, apart from pretending you're a trombone player?
Yeah, I've not done that for a little bit actually. I've got, when's that next? I've got 2 next week for that. One of them is the show I've already done, but one of them is now I've sort of, the problem is, and this is a double-sided thing, the problem is saying yes to stuff that if it goes well, by any means of blaggery, they will ask you to
Any means of blaggery?
Yeah, like if you sort of blag your way through it and they go, oh, this guy can well read bass clef, when I kind of half learned it and was half reading, they'll ask you to do it again or do something different.
Yeah, well, that's
so now
the thing.
I'm doing another show that was originally written for cello.
Oh, dude.
But it's still bass clef. But
What's it with you and these 4-string instruments?
Don't know, just, you know.
Hilarious.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's good though, because it means it's like I've got 4 gigs this week, and then next week I've got 3 gigs plus 2 of those shows.
Right.
So it's like, you know, it's
all versatile, it's all good stuff,
yeah,
you know, you're learning along the
exactly.
way, so that's all good.
Buy a camera, which we will talk about later.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, all that kind of stuff. We'll talk about hardware and what you need, and I'll show you my kind of setup, and you can talk about if you guys I mean, you've done a little bit of video stuff.
Yeah, I want to get into it more. Like
I think a lot of guitarists do, yeah. Have you been up to anything interesting? I mean, you've started again teaching and all sorts of things, haven't you?
Similar to Dan, really. So
Schools
back
back
in schools, but and usually at this point of the year, the gigs would start to be summer gigs. Season would start to be going quiet, but it's not as much. It's still
kind of wedding season and
yeah,
stuff.
still
Good
weddings
financially, but difficult in terms of time.
So yeah, silly drives around the country and
on Scotland on Thursday.
Yeah,
tomorrow. I'm going to Scotland tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm off down to London tomorrow. I'm interviewing Thomas Blug. If you guys, last week, if you saw the stream, Dave Bainbridge and Dave Bronze were using Thomas Blug's Amp 1, which is his all-in-one 100-watt kind of amplifier that's about this big. And he was using that thing, they were using that thing. It's absolutely fantastic. So I'm going to go and interview him about various things. Thomas Blug is a great guitar player. Check him out if you've not already. Okay, so let's get straight into these pedals, because I want to get these pedals, I want to show these to you because they're two absolutely fantastic pedals. And also, I'm sort of at the stage with them, although I've reviewed the DD500, the thing is, it's so immense, the amount of stuff on there. I'm still learning something all the time. And what I want to do is, if you guys have got, because obviously I'm going to rabbit on about these pedals now, if you guys have got specific questions about it or anything you're interested in, just shout basically, because otherwise I'll just not stop talking. What you're hearing, so you know exactly what's going on here in terms of signal path, is, it's not ideal, I'll admit. I've got my Fibonacci. This is the Roadmaster 56 guitar, and it's obviously a standard tele pickup selection. We'll probably try this with, we've got the Ibanez, just show them the guitar, Dave. I love this guitar. It's an RG7
770. It's my my second electric guitar in '97, and it was used then. It's 26 years old.
Sharp tooth inlays. It's absolutely awesome.
So it's it was left in my parents' garage for about 5 years, and it ended up with a banana roller coaster neck.
Nice.
And remarkably, I couldn't. It cost a little bit to have it restored, but sentimental value and everything. So.
And that was no, I've totally forgotten his name. If anybody happens to be watching this later, and what was the guy's
Fraser.
Fraser
Yeah,
Callum.
Yeah.
Fraser Callum. Yeah. So if you're in the north of England, Fraser's a great tech for guitar.
Yeah,
players.
he basically this.
Tsar Bosnia, thank you and welcome to the stream. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, this neck was one of the worst he said he'd ever seen. That you'd look down and it was like a corkscrew roller coaster. It was
crazy. Like picking a snooker cue off the rack and then you roll it and it's like.
But yeah, he did a remarkable job. He sort of left it in his place for about a year, and it amazingly evened out a little bit. Took the frets off and managed to salvage it and refret it, and yeah, it's played amazing.
So it is the original neck, obviously.
Yeah, because I was looking at like ones on eBay to try and get a second neck for it, but it is original neck and it's very rusty. And
what year do you reckon? How did you say?
It's 1990, I think. 1990.
So it's proper old school Ibanez. It's got the old metal backplate on it and stuff and all sorts. So
what was your first? Is this like your second guitar? Is that your first proper guitar?
That's my first
proper guitar. You get the
guitar,
one that you learn and then you actually go out and buy one.
Yeah, I had a '93 Japanese Squire.
This is something I've thought about doing. Is like because I've still got my first proper guitar, and that's an Ibanez.
Really? Oh god, no, I haven't. No way. My first proper guitar. My first guitar was a Marlin Slammer. See, we're going off on one now. My first proper guitar was a Marlin Slammer, which was a horrendous lime green piece of shit, basically. And my dad stripped it, and it was actually quite nice when he stripped it. It wasn't plywood. And then I had an Ibanez RG450, which was very similar to that, but obviously at the time, this would have seemed a lap of luxury because it's basically sharp tooth inlays. The finish is kind of shiny and stuff. Mine was very cheap, kind of black opaque finish.
Okay.
But man, I loved that guitar. Loved it. I used to play it ridiculous amounts.
Mine looks similar to this, same inlays. But
have I seen yours?
Don't think so.
No, I haven't.
Yeah.
Anyway.
The thing is, I put the pickups in it, and I think I fucked it up. But it's got like a black and green tone zone and like a black and pink Norton thing in it.
Oh right, high-end pickups then.
Sweet.
That's what they put in the standard now.
Well, I was obsessed with Paul Gilbert when I was like 16. So.
Martin Miller's got some J Customs arriving, so check out
the pictures.
Don't get me started. Those are, I don't know when they're arriving, but if you check out Martin's Facebook page, they're very nice indeed.
Yeah.
So we should get going. So what I'm gonna do is switch to the other camera so you can see. And I've totally screwed this up because before we came on air, I moved this. So
I've probably had more guitars than Dan had posh haircuts.
who's written that?
Richard Langard, is it?
Oh, Mr. Langard.
He has a trendy. I've seen him with a trendy haircut.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah,
and muscle
your
bound
shoes
as well. What are you doing?
I don't know.
So this is the DD500, and I've positioned this so you can still see us, although I'm going to be ducking down to actually use the unit. So you should still be able to see Dan and Dave whilst I'm sort of doing this, and I'll be sort of off the screen a little bit. So this is the DD500. Basically, this is we've got comedy going on in the chat. This is the basically a very high-end delay unit with 12 different delay types on. And a huge, and I mean huge, I've never seen anything like it, huge amount of control and functionality for the pedal. So in terms of what's actually going on here, you've got your 12 different modes. You've got, you can't quite see it guys because of the way the camera's positioned, but standard, Terra Echo, slow attack, filter, shimmer, SFX, which is fairly crazy, we'll get into that, reverse, pattern, dual, vintage digital, oops, tape, and it looks like it says anal, analog that says. So we've got anal and hard there, so that's not so good. But yeah, if I just position this a little bit better so you can kind of see analog there. Okay, so let me just reposition this camera a little bit. We've fashioned quite a DIY setup here in order to get this camera to work. So I apologise, it's not quite centred. Okay, so the deal with this, I'm just going to go into the standard mode, and I've got, you can see here, every time I select a different delay type, the screen updates, and it gives me the feedback, effects level, tone, and modulation depth. And that's what the controls here are basically. You've got time and value. Okay, so let me position this so my OCD's kicking in. Feedback, effects level, tone, and modulation depth. And the first thing you notice is if I just turn off this Tumnus pedal, so we've got a clean sound. I've got a huge amount of room noise in my studio, guys, so apologies for all the single coil hum. The first thing you'll notice is if I just play, this is 32-bit 96 kilohertz operation. So basically the sound is insanely high quality in terms of the delays. So I'm just going to turn the delays fairly loud. Now I fear I may clip the actual front of the preamp if I don't. No, that seems to be okay. Right, I'm going to sit back down again. So the actual delay repeats themselves. This is a real standard kind of basic delay, just your very clean. Very pristine kind of delay, and the unit is incredibly easy to use. So you've got feedback, effects level, tone, and modulation depth. If I bring the modulation up, every control that you alter here adjusts on the actual unit, so you can see on the display here as I'm adjusting the modulation depth we get more modulation. You can see a readout. Very pretty. I think that's a really nice modulation. It's not getting it too much in the way of the kind of signal. Very pretty indeed, and obviously you can adjust the tone so we can brighten up the actual delay repeats. So very lush delays, and obviously your feedback, you can do infinite feedback loops, and then as you're doing that you can start to adjust. So it acts just like old school tape delays in that respect, basically, so that's kind of cool as well. Just really high quality sounding delays. There's also a tap tempo function, so down here this tap and control. Now this can also be assigned to a ton of different features, but really nice non-latching switches, so they just feel really smooth. Okay, now before I actually go into any of the other delay types, I won't show you everything here because there's just too much stuff to show you. And again, if you guys think of any questions, just can it do this or can it do that, just let me know. So if I press the edit function, go into the menu, go to patch here, I can actually select a BPM. So no longer do you ever have to kind of think, there's like an equation you can do, I can't remember what it is, to figure out what the milliseconds would be to match a BPM. I can't remember how you do it.
Watching this on that pedal show the
like
other day,
Dave Gilmore used to do it all the time. I have no idea how you do it. There's an equation.
Science.
Now you can dial in a BPM. So if I dial in 120, 500 milliseconds, and I can select different note values. So here, a lot of times pedals will have like, welcome to the stream, Cody Carey. A lot of times pedals will have like a dotted eighth note feel, a quarter note feel, and maybe, I don't know, a straight eighth note feel or something like that, or a triplet feel. This has got everything, and it's as easy as just selecting the note value. So if I want dotted eighth notes, Oops, I'm going the wrong way. There's my dotted eighth note. Now if I listen to the tempo and increase the effect level, I can do the old. And it's incredibly easy to dial it in. If I then went and did that at, say the drummer was playing at 180 BPM, just dial in 180, automatically updates the tempo or the milliseconds. If I could actually figure out. No, what would that be? I'm pretty sure I'm not doing that right, but whatever the tempo, I think it's done it too fast. You get the idea anyway. I can't actually play. I can't figure out what the actual.
Can you tap in the tempo close enough and then fine tune it from there?
Yes.
So like if you know if the drummer was.
Absolutely, you could tap in, or if the drummer was playing to a click and you know what the tempo would be, you could dial it in. But if the drummer's playing, you can tap in the tempo. Absolutely, just like you can with a standard delay. But on this delay, the amazing thing with the DD500 is that can be assigned that tap and control function to any parameter within the pedal, pretty much.
Right.
Which is pretty incredible, really. You can assign up to 8 functions to that tap and control pedal, and also plug in a couple of external controller pedals and expression pedal, so that you can actually assign those functions or those pedals to different functions. I realise the display is a little bit hard to read for you guys. It's actually a nice high resolution display, but my webcam's not doing a great job because of the light in here, unfortunately. So if I go back out of here, let me. I'll just show you a couple of different things. So in terms of presets, there's 99 banks and there's 2 sets or 2 sounds within each bank, A and B. You can have 3 sounds within each bank as well if you so desire, but it's set up by default to have 2 sounds in each bank. If you have 3, 298 patches, is that right? 99 times 3, 298. Yeah. So as you go through, so this is an analog delay. Lovely and dark and lush sounding if I increase the delay, sorry, the level and the feedback. Is it 297?
I don't want to think that.
Yeah, I think you might be right. Josh Ross Music, thank you so much for joining the stream. Going up and down banks basically is as simple as pressing 2. These 2 together go up, these 2 together go down. Then the 2 LEDs will flash, press A and we get a new type of delay. So this is a lo-fi delay. Very cool. Again, these can be, you can select 8-bit, 16-bit, as opposed to 32-bit 96 kilohertz, which is the normal operation. You can go 8-bit, I guess down to 1-bit basically, with different sample rates, so on and so forth. So sorry, Dan, what were you going to say?
Are the banks laid out so that it's kind of the same effect? Like, so is it sort of like?
I see what you mean. So like standard delays together, analog delays together. They're actually they're just I guess the guys at Boss have come up with a preset, stored it, come up with a new preset, stored it, whatever they liked. But a really important thing with this, and something I use a huge amount, is that this has MIDI functionality built in, which if you've ever used a highly programmable effects unit that does presets but has no MIDI on it, you'll realise that, let's say for instance you wanted to select a, in my case, the dual fusion channel 1, your tremolo pedal, and let's say a reverb and a particular patch on this unit. That's effectively 3 different pedal presses to turn those pedals on, and then you've got to scroll through your presets on the DD500 to find the one that you want and then select it. Well, with MIDI that's no longer an issue, because as I press through my presets, I think my actual unit just needs to be turned on here, so bear with me guys. As I move through, basically you can see there, it's actually, I haven't programmed it as well as I should have done really, but you can see as I press my OC10 control unit, it's selecting different patches automatically. And you can assign any MIDI program change via whatever MIDI floor controller you're using. I'm using a one control OC10 to select any patch on the unit. So if you go to the edit menu and go down to MIDI program or the map for where the actual programs are, I can assign a different MIDI program change to any patch. If I wanted to change MIDI program change 9, it's as simple as just scrolling to find the actual patch that I actually desire. So let me show you a couple of different sounds. You guys want to ask anything else so far?
Does it have a sort of ducking sort of delay? Because that's one of my favourite sort of
So one of the coolest things about this pedal, so you can probably think of a few different delay units on the market that have a function. One of the delays that you can select is a ducking delay.
Yeah.
On the DD500, every single delay setting has a ducking mode.
Okay.
So when you go into the edit menu, so I've got this particular delay here. Wonder 1950, thank you so much for joining the stream. If that's my delay sound, and as I'm playing, because I've got a lot of delay there, I'm sure you guys have experienced this, where it's totally getting in the way. It sounds awesome, but it's totally getting in the way. So if I go into the edit menu, go up to patch, press edit again. It doesn't matter what type of delay you're using. You can see there's a ton of functions here, but you've got duck pre and duck post. So I'm just going to turn these up.
And then the sensitivity as well, okay.
Yeah, so there's a sensitivity for pick attack basically. Yeah. As I play now, what you need to do, obviously, you can hear probably. I hope you can hear anyway on the mic, guys. The delay kicks back in a little bit there. So if I bring the sensitivity, sorry, the depth down, the sensitivity down a little bit. So that's a little bit of a better example. So it's just slightly ducking out the way. And again, that can be, a lot of delay pedals have a ducking. This sounds like I'm kind of trying to sell the pedal for Boss. I just am really into it. I just think it's a phenomenal pedal. But the ducking delay or the ducking section here is available on every single delay patch. So again, that's pretty cool, isn't it? So you can play. Come in afterwards, which is super cool. Yeah, and then, as I say, if I change the delay type, so hold the button down, go to, let's do the Terra Echo, which is kind of insane. So this is the Terra Echo. It's kind of got. I don't know how well you guys can hear that.
Philip Layman?
Yeah.
Welcome to the stream.
Oh, thank you for. I thought you were going to say I had a question.
No.
So this is the Terra Echo on its own. Very, very. The filters are really nice as well.
Very nice on it.
Yeah, it's a really. It's not got that kind of digital kind of graininess like the artifacts that you get with kind of cheap filters. It's got that very kind of expensive sounding. It's a very smooth filter. But again, on that different delay mode, if I go up to the depth for the ducking and then I start to play, Twitch itself has joined the stream. Fantastic, thank you so much. Yeah, if I start to play now. And then right at the end you get that beautiful wash of delay, the Terra Echo with the modulation on it. It's pretty cool, isn't it? Because it's got that wash behind it, that kind of filtered wash. It's really nice. And if you increase the, say on that Terra Echo, if you increase the resonance, you can get pretty extreme with it. So very kind of like Doctor Who-esque kind of. Again, if I drop the ducking out, so you can, because obviously the ducking is stopping you from hearing the delay so well. And again, like you can see how quick this is to edit as well. Because if you've ever used some of the other kind of high-end, I don't know if you've ever used any of the high-end kind of delay pedals on the market that have got MIDI functionality.
Stuff, yeah.
Well, you've got a tiny little LED with like 3 digits on, or well, actually more digits, but it's just a one line of kind of LEDs.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
very hard to. You have to
can
really
follow the
read the manual to know what you're doing. Yeah, it's very difficult. Sorry.
Well, how do you save stuff? Two buttons at the same time?
If you want to save a preset, yeah, so say you wanted to save that, you go to these 2 buttons here that say right above them. If you press them together, you get this little menu. Has this camera frozen? Let me just check. Oh yeah, that was weird. Okay, hold on a second, guys. I may have to pull this camera out. And can you just hold that guitar for me a second? So yeah, if you want to do that, basically you just hit the right function, and then you can go into the pedal and actually alter the. Hopefully this will actually work. So yeah, you've got the right function on there. You hit those 2 buttons together. Edit to execute. If you use the cursor buttons, you can go up to here and rename the patch just by scrolling across like this. changing the name. So we've got Wi-Fi delay now. And then you can change where you're writing the patch to using this function, so which actual preset you're writing to. And then basically hit the edit button again, and it executes and writes the delay. It's really easy to do, really, really simple. Incredibly easy. That guitar's in a funny tuning, so I apologise. So let me just show you a couple of the other modes. So slow attack. If you play, oh, okay.
Oh, I want to embarrass myself in fourths. So.
Hear the way that delay's ramping in. Really cool, and again, super pristine delays. Very cool. Filter delays apply an adjustable filter to the actual delay.
Video's gone.
Pardon?
The video's gone.
Video's gone? Oh yes, it will do very briefly.
Ah, right.
And then we'll come back in again.
I mean, the chat's usually like slightly.
Yeah, they're slightly behind.
Delay. Delay of all things.
Just ask him if it's come back. If it comes back again, it should come back fairly quickly. So very cool filter delays. Let's go for pattern delays. Still can't see it.
Rob says it's back.
Yeah, it should be back.
Okay, it's back.
Brilliant. Okay, that's good. Yeah, I had to stop the stream very briefly, guys, because the webcam died. Unfortunately, my webcam I think is getting a bit long in the tooth now. So those are your pattern delays. Very cool. I think it might be me jiggling this wire with my foot, so I'm going to try and avoid that. Vintage digital delay. For those kind of like old school vintage delays, they didn't work at high sample and bit rates. So you can, it's a little bit grainier sounding than your standard kind of digital delay, but again, it's still a great sounding delay. But you've got things like delay phase, feedback phase, so we can adjust the phase of the feedback. And then if we adjust the phase of the delay as well.
Is it in the loop, Tom, I'm going?
Because I'm running into my Laney Lionheart, it's running in the front of the amp rather than the loop, but obviously you can run it into the loop as well if you so desire. And then you can adjust the time by 2, which back in the day would have slightly degraded the quality. So you can, some of the repeats are getting slightly grainy there, which is really cool. Got filters on there, and then different types of digital delay. So SDE 2000s, these are all different types of old school kind of Roland digital delays. SDE 3000, DD2, and these will all sound slightly different. Very pristine, add some modulation in. Very cool, and then I'll just show you the tape echo and the analog echo as well, or the analog delay. The tape echo again allows you to select between 2 different tape units. The RE201, which is like, I think that's the Space Echo, the old massive, I don't know if you guys have ever seen those with the big dial on the front. They were really cool, very sought after. And you can hear the wow and flutter going on there. You can select the number of tape heads. So for very simple delays, we could just go down to 1 tape head. And you can hear the kind of degradation there of the actual tape. Very, very nice sounding. And then you can go to the Echoplex, which has got a different preamp. Kind of a different tone. Again, I've got the delays really high in the mix here so you can hear them well. Sounds absolutely fantastic. Another thing that's worth mentioning is on the analog delays, as with quite a lot of these pedals, it models a bucket brigade chip, which are the old, just like the faux tape echo that you've got. models, Bucket Brigade chips, and you basically with the Bucket Brigade chips you get about 300 milliseconds of delay before things start to really crap out. If I adjust this so that we've got a full 300 milliseconds of delay, the repeats, just like with a proper Bucket Brigade, would be quite grainy. You can hear the effect you're getting there, and it's got kind of a grainy edge to it. But you can select multiple Bucket Brigade chips, so there's 2 now or 4, so you can get way more delay.
Got some clipping going on.
Oh yes, you will have. Oh, there we go, that's a bit better. So really nice lush analog delays.
So what effect was that in the chip? What effect does that add in there? So that bit?
Well, when you add the extra Bucket Brigade chips,
Yeah.
something's falling apart over there. You don't get the same signal degradation because you're not maxing out the chips.
Right. It's almost like having more delay headroom.
Yeah, or more DSP chips in like an effects unit or whatever.
Right.
So you end up with more kind of headroom, for the delays. So you can hear those are dark, but they're lush sounding. And you can go at that point up to 900 milliseconds of delay on a standard, on like an analog sound, which is very difficult to do with standard analog pedals. You can't do it actually. I think, like if you take the Maxon, I forget the name of the pedal, very classic kind of analog delay pedal, I think that goes up to 600 maximum. So this is very cool, and again, you've got all the functionality of dialing in BPMs and stuff like that. I just want to really quickly to kind of tail this off a little bit because I don't want to go on, just about the DD500 because we've got a few other things to sort of show you and then talk about, production techniques for guitar players. I just want to show you some of the editing functions for the controllers. So for instance, that tap and control button just here at the moment is functioning as a tap tempo, as I showed you. So there we go. But if I select a different delay mode, I'll select the standard mode. And then I go into this menu and I assign the tap and control function to hold. Now you're going to see my big boot come in here. So it's beautiful sound as well, really, really clean. Or I can assign it to, let's say, twist. Now this is insane. I don't think you'll have ever heard a delay pedal do this before. I showed you this earlier on.
I'm sold.
Yeah, I mean that's the killer feature,
Yeah.
basically, guys. Absolutely insane. If your video's frozen, it's probably just bandwidth issues, guys, and it will buffer a lot. If you have buffering issues, feel free to, any bits that you missed, watch this back on YouTube afterwards or on Twitch and you won't have those issues because it's live basically and it's 1080p, it's a lot of bandwidth being used. So there's multiple functions. We can drop the tempo by a half. Really cool feature. Just do that one more time. Again, these are functions that you don't see very often on pedals on the market. And then within that, any of the functions on the pedal, as I say, I won't do this for you now because I'm doing an extensive demo of this pedal that you'll be able to watch. But the assign feature here, I can assign any of the functions of the pedal to that tap and control feature. So all of these things here, all the EQ section, any of the functions of any of the delays, they can all be attached to that tap and control button, or any external MIDI controller or any external physical controller, say like a latching switch or some kind of expression pedal you can use as well. They can be attached to that and you can essentially just control up to 8 of those at a time in any preset. So it's pretty impressive. There's a whole heap of stuff that this thing does and it sounds great and it's small as well. In terms of scale, if I just show you, that's the pick I use. So it's not massive.
How much are they?
That's a good question. Let's have a quick look. I don't think they're out yet, that's the only thing. Just get on Google. £249, which is roughly well, it's around 130 quid, I think, cheaper than the other one that everybody goes on about. You know the one I mean?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Which I'm not going to mention because I don't want to start flame wars within the chat. But I'm sure you guys know what pedal I'm talking about. I've owned that pedal, and I can tell you for a fact that this unit is every bit as good as that pedal and has, I would say, extended functionality at this point as well, which is very impressive for the price. As with all units, there'll be certain people who prefer different units to other people, so on and so forth.
When it gets to that sort of, when it gets to that kind of band, you're just paying roughly the same kind of money. It comes down to little things like a feature that one might have that the other one might have, or
yeah, well the thing is,
sound that you might want that the other one doesn't have. And
the other one is at least £100 and something more expensive than this one. So it's quite a lot of money to invest extra. So it's very impressive. I think Boss have done an amazing job on this. You should also check out the ES8 switching system as well, which I've done a demo for Sound Effects Premiere in Ormskirk, so you'll be able to check that out very soon as well. Yeah, it was really good, really clever unit. So Boss are doing some fantastic things at the moment. Okay, so any other questions? Or should we move on to the Tumnus?
I don't think there's any other questions. What power does it need?
Oh yeah, that is really important actually. Impressively, it's a 9-volt centre negative standard power. It will run amazingly off 4 AA batteries, or only requires 200 milliamps of power, which is insane because a lot of these pedals require, like my H9, which I absolutely adore. It's fantastic. It's sat right next door. The H9 requires a huge amount more power, perhaps even up to 500. I can't remember. And is centre positive. So these digital pedals tend to be very power hungry, and this one is not. It's very impressive the lack of power it requires, considering the sound quality and the level of fidelity in the actual delays. So very impressive indeed. So I'm powering it off a Free the Tone power supply. I'm using the isolated outputs, but if you've got any power supply that gives more than 200 or around 200 milliamps from one of the outputs, you're in business straight away. You don't need any special kind of power supply for it. Boss don't supply a power supply with it, but then that's fairly standard if you think about pedals. If you can run it off a normal power supply, like the Boss PSA unit will power this thing, or any kind of daisy chained power supply that provides enough milliamps. So for instance, if you've got like the Pedal Train Volto, which I've got, the portable one, that will actually power this unit no problem at all and will last a long time. Your standard pedal requires around 100 milliamps. So it's only double what your standard your standard pedal requires. So it's very impressive. Okay, yeah. Anything else, or should we move on?
Is it physically bigger than the other one?
No, it's about the same size. The other one. We'll say what the other one is. The other one is the Strymon Timeline. It's a great pedal, of course. But yeah, it's about the same size, basically.
It's not massive though for what it is.
No. Oh, I've missed a feature that's really important. Let me just go back down to the pedal. It's only one feature, guys, so bear with me. There is a 60-second looper built in. If I hold down this switch here, there's a 60-second looper built in. If you can choose to run in 48 kilohertz mode, and if you do that, you get 120 seconds of looping. And really importantly, the delays still operate while you're in loop mode. So I've got, there's my delay. If I bring the feedback down, this is going to be impossible to do because the pedal's a little bit further away from me than is comfortable. But if I was to record, I don't think that's actually recording. So you can hear.
And if you hear that again, that's going to jump over it.
Pardon?
If you hit the A again, that's going to.
Yeah. So there's it's a fully functioning looper.
I like the little graphic. It's just like the looping shapes. That's quite.
Yeah, that's cool. And there's two ways of getting out of that. If you press the stop button and hold it down, it will exit back out of that, or you can press the exit button to get back out again. So massively impressive. There's just a ton of stuff on there. Really, really impressive. Okay, so let me now. I'm worrying a little bit here that the actual unit is the webcam's gonna stop working. So I'm gonna try as carefully as I can to move this onto the Tumnus panel. Yeah, it's died. Marvellous. Okay, so bear with me a second, guys. I'm just going to have to stop the stream and start again. I need a new webcam, essentially, is what we're figuring out here. So bear with me a second, and when we come back... So again, very touch sensitive, and if I pull that back even further and increase the level, effectively what it does is it totally fattens your clean tone. So again, here's the pedal off, and again, I hope you can hear this through this microphone. It's not the ideal kind of setup for demoing a pedal, but seeing as it arrived today, I wanted to show you guys. There's my clean tone, turn the pedal on. Like, how would you guys describe that difference? Yeah, like especially in the room, it's just a much wider, broader tone.
It kind of fills the room out.
Yeah, so if you've got an amp, I mean the Laney isn't this by any stretch, but if you have an amp that's fairly anorexic sounding on its clean channel, or even the overdrive, I'll show you very quickly how it sounds in front of the drive on the Lionheart. But if you've got an amp that's kind of anorexic sounding, this thing is going to do a great job of fattening it out, and just gives you that real kind of warm, like 3D is a good way of describing it kind of tone. So again, just one more time, pedal off, let me bring the level up a little bit more. So even the H9 thinks it's hot. Okay, now with the pedal on. Yeah, it's lovely. Really, really nice pedal. So that's the Tumnus by Wampler. Those will be available very soon. Could you type a link in the chat for me where these guys can check this out? Let me check out what it is. Jason gave me the link earlier on because I wanted to let you guys know where you can check this out. It's in a Facebook message. Where is it? Yeah, if they go to wamplerpedals.com /product /Tumnus. So obviously Tumnus is the faun from Narnia, and it's the closest to a centaur you can get without actually breaching copyright. Half human, half goat, rather than half human, half horse. Alright guys, so let's go back to the main window. So we don't need that webcam again, so hopefully it's not going to, the stream should keep going from now on without any issues. So let's talk a little bit about, or not a little bit, let's talk a lot about this kind of whole area of production, video production, demo production, you know, constructing backing tracks, all those kind of skills that are required. So in your case, Dan, you've recently been getting into gear for that very purpose. And let me just turn the mic back up so these guys can hear a little bit better. So what kind of things, I mean, you're looking at, in terms of the setup, you need a camera?
Yeah, I mean, I've kind of never really needed it so far. It's not that, I mean, it's not something that you might need, but it's kind of, I've always just played and like done a lot of gigs and sort of shows and been out, you know, out doing stuff, and I've not really done the whole kind of home production line thing. But I've got half of the gear required to do it. It's
Yes.
not like you need to spend. I was just saying this to Dave before. It's kind of good. It's kind of good coming to this at a slightly later date, because for one, if I wanted to try and do this kind of stuff, you know, years ago, for one, I would have known even less about what I was doing, and things would have been more expensive for the quality.
Yeah.
Whereas now it seems like you don't need to spend a ridiculous amount of money to get the full.
Inventory is so much lower now.
Yeah.
Quality of.
I mean, as long as you know, I mean, and again, like, I'm working quite a lot now, so I've got money to sort of spend on these kind of things, and it's not going to be like super crippling or anything like that. So it's not like I'm, you know, making it rain in Dixon's buying TVs or anything. But, hey! But it means that you can get like, not a ridiculous amount of money, but like you can get sort of like a good chunk, so that you're going to get something that's kind of going to be industry standard without, like, you know, throwing $1,000 at a camera or whatever. You don't need
I mean, these days, so for instance, if I show you, because I know you're going to be getting some of this stuff down, I'm going to tentatively rest that there and hope that it doesn't destroy itself live on stream. If that's alright, yeah, that'd be great. Cheers.
Oh, I choked on my beer through worry.
So, let me show you some of the gear that I use. I'll just pull this off this stand here. So, I use for my cameras Panasonic GH2s. This has got no lens attached to it. Now, in terms of the gear that you need to buy, like a body like this is a fantastic camera. It's like a DSLR, but it's not a DSLR. And for those not in the know, standard video cameras these days, they're fine, but generally the production value of guitar players and musicians in general producing videos has gone through the roof. And the main reason for that is the use of DSLR cameras, because what DSLR style cameras, these bigger body cameras, and then you attach a lens. So let me attach a lens to it so you guys can see roughly how it would look with everything attached, so it doesn't look too foreign. What tends to happen is these DSLR style cameras, which are a bit more expensive in the short term, give you what they call depth of field, which means that you can be in focus but the background can be out of focus, which they've been doing in Hollywood for years. So the production values, or the cost of production values that used to be incurred if you were doing movies, can now be achieved. You see guys shoot movies that look almost Hollywood standard on cameras like this. This body was £200, the body. A lens like that, this 50mm lens, is £80. A lens that's going to allow you to get more in the picture. I mean, the one I showed you was about £200, 230 quid.
Yeah, something like that.
And that will allow you to shoot beautiful looking video, as high quality as it gets, basically, without investing thousands of pounds in a camera. And this camera as well doesn't suffer from some of the issues that like the Canons suffer from, for instance, or the Nikons, where you can only shoot a limited amount of footage before it will stop recording or will start to write a new file. This will just write forever, basically, and they can be hacked a lot. So the Panasonic GH2 is a great option for guitar players, and it's small and very light. So that's a great one that I use. And then a tripod, and that's it, basically. The camera we're using to stream this is actually a Canon 700D, which is a good camera, but it's bigger and has some feature issues that stop you from recording after, I believe, 4 gigabytes of data, just because of the way the memory cards write information. So, but they're good. You can pick up my 700D. They're about £450, £500 with a lens, so not too bad.
Now, obviously, this sound like obviously if you're if you're watching this and you're like sort of 16, 17. You might not. It sounds like we're just going, 400 quid, like it's nothing. Obviously you're not meant to go out and buy all this kind of stuff.
Harold, thank you very much for joining the stream. No, I mean, I'm talking about guys who are doing this as a profession.
Yeah. I mean, and this is the kind of
investing
stuff that
in your
you make. You make decent choices, and these are the kind of things that if you buy the right thing, you're not going to have to buy 4 of them because you've bought the wrong. You've made the wrong choice. So it's like, I'm sure you've all bought a pedal that you thought was going to be amazing, and then it might not quite do what you need it to do, and it's like, fuck's sake, I've got to find something else. Do you know what I mean? Like you've all made those kind of choices.
Absolutely.
You buy something and it doesn't quite work as well as you wanted it to once you get it in your field.
Yeah, I mean the other thing, these days you don't need. So £200 seems, it's not an insignificant amount of money, but it's not a crazy amount of money.
Well,
so if you're
look at it this way, like I remember, and this is just from a technology point of view. I remember my dad buying a DVD player, like when they first came out, and it was like a DVD player that play any region, and it was like 350 quid. Now you can get you go down to Asda, you can get the same something that would do what that did for like 20 quid.
Yeah,
it's like, and it's not that. I mean, it was like 5-6 years or something.
And it's the same thing for recording gear. I mean, you can pick up a Focusrite sound card for 130 quid. That's USB 3 compatible, or even USB 2 compatible. Will do the job. Great little preamps in there. Decent quality converters. Does everything you need it to. You bought a set of PreSonus Aeris monitors?
Yeah, 4.5.
They sound great. You don't need to spend a huge amount of money, guys.
Quid,
Where I would say you really need to invest, and this is a little bit of a cheesy thing to say, is in the time learning the software.
Yeah.
That is cheesy, but it's true.
Yeah, but it is,
if you're going to use whatever you choose to use, Logic, Cubase, Photoshop, you need to develop skills in Photoshop, Premiere, Final Cut Pro. This depends on whether you're a Mac on a PC. Logic, Cubase. I don't know if I said that already. And then the plugins that go with those. So in a minute, I'm going to show you what I used. Dave's going to talk about what he uses, and you're obviously in the process of getting a lot of this stuff. You just got Easy Drummer the other day, right? Easy Drummer 2.
Yeah, I just got the demo just to try and sort of figure out, sort of how that works. We've got Logic, and I've got there's the kind of drummer track feature on there,
which is really good actually.
It's like really useful, but if you want something a bit more specific, it can be a bit trickier. But I mean, just to quickly knock something up to play to, that drummer thing was amazing. You got that little, I don't know what they call it. Is it XY? Is that what it's called? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Oh, where you drag to change the complexity and the...
Yeah, like fills, loud, soft, simple.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's absolutely superb. Unfortunately, I can't really show it because I'm using my PC here instead of OS X, but yeah, maybe another time.
Got it on my laptop there.
Yeah, we could. It's on here as well, so we could probably do that. It's just the webcam's freaking me out. But again, so in terms of video production, if you want to do demo videos for a company, if you want to do videos of your own playing and make them look high quality, which you kind of need to do these days because everyone else is, or if you wanted to do lessons, for instance, and sell them, you don't need to spend a huge amount of money. You need a nice quality camera, preferably not a standard video camera. There it is. This kind of camera, digital video camera, I use these for recording masterclasses and sessions when I do them because they're just cheap and easy, and if it breaks it doesn't matter. But I wouldn't shoot my own guitar-based footage on here.
I did a few YouTube videos and stuff like that. And
yeah.
They're all, I mean,
they tend to look a bit cheaper.
Okay, but if the lighting in the room is not banged on at the time you do it.
The beauty with, that's a very good point. The beauty with these is that they're very cheap. This was about 130 quid and it does 1080p 60 frames per second. But you need a huge amount of light in the room to get a non-grainy image because the amount, if you look at the difference here, guys, the lens on that is absolutely minute as compared to, well, the camera that we're using for a start, but the hole for the lens is at least double the size on this camera, so it's capturing double the amount of light. And the image quality is just staggeringly better than what you're going to get from this camera. Plus, this doesn't do depth of field, so that's really important.
Lenses are not like one of the few investments as well that they'll last you. They'll move. They can do.
Do you know what I thought you were going to say?
Like drop it or anything.
Lenses are one of the few investments that will ruin your life because they are
so
expensive.
Yeah.
And they're so addictive because of the
Oh.
image quality that you get.
Yeah.
And then if you start getting in photography, but the camera is a huge priority, so that would be something that you should sort out. And a Panasonic GH2 is a very good cheap camera
But I'll
that
go
you can
buy
pick
them,
up second hand.
I'll buy one next week.
Yeah, you can pick them up second hand on
Yeah, the
eBay for
GH2,
around £200. Great investment. A little bit of a learning curve with all those cameras. Once you've got that, you need some kind of way of recording your guitar. Now we talked about this a lot in the guitar 3 or 4 guitar hours ago. Were you on that one or was it?
I wasn't. No, I actually had the pleasure of watching that one and I learned quite a bit.
Yeah, so
was that the one where Dave was like talking about building the amps and stuff? Was
I
it the
think
one after
yes.
when
that?
you were talking about the
torpedo reload.
Because yeah.
So, but you could, if you've got an effects loop on your amp, you can just plug your effects loop straight into your sound card and use speaker simulation. That's the easiest way to do it on a budget. And I was doing that the other day with a friend of mine, Wayne McMillan, and it sounded superb. Or you can use modelers like the Act Effects or some of the Line 6 stuff, especially when the Helix comes out. That's probably going to be good, and a lot of guys will get that for recording. So all that kind of stuff works. And then basically all you need to do is invest in some software. Buy it, don't hack it, because if you're using it for professional purposes, it's much better if you own
It's
it.
just not stable.
All tax deductible, so that's a good thing. If you're on a Mac, use Final Cut. If you're on a PC, you can use Premiere, or use Premiere on a Mac if you like. There's a big learning curve with those things, but it's worth investing in.
Even sign up to like a
Mac Pro Video.
Mac Pro Video, is that what it's called? Yeah.
That's exactly what I was
I
just
did a
about to
lot,
say.
I mean, I've forgotten most of it because I sort of did it for a bit and forgot, but that was like eight quid a month or something.
Mac Pro Video is a subscription or paid site. MacProVideo.com. Let me put that in the link. In the chat. Mac Pro Video basically do really good tuition products for all the major software packages. And although it says Mac, because the software packages are very similar on the PC if you're using the Adobe suite, so Premiere and Photoshop, so on and so forth, they work across the board, so you can use the same tutorials for both. And they acknowledge that people use PCs as well as Macs, because I use a PC for most of my professional work. Cubase is on there, Logic, all of the standard kind of packages that you would want to use, and you can basically go on there and pay. I think it's actually $25 a month.
I don't remember being a lot. But
Maybe
at
that's
the
what
time,
you're saying then.
What was I doing at the time? I think I wasn't teaching. I think I was gigging, but I wasn't teaching. So I kind of had my weeks to myself. And even if you've got a couple of days a week where you're off, or Saturday or Sunday or whatever, you can just sit there and just like smash through, because it goes from real basic nothing stuff you know, you can sort of, some of them are like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and obviously it gets a bit more involved, but you could like smash through like 5, 6, 7 sort of lessons and just kind of learn how to do stuff.
Yeah.
You know, in a day, and you do that, it's easily sort of worth the money if you're going to really. I mean, obviously, if it's like a gym membership and you pay for it and don't do it, then it's not great.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you don't, there's no obligation either. You can just like leave.
That's it. You can pay for tutorials individually as well. I'm just going to move this mic stand so I can pull this guitar out. And the tutors are really good. They take it at a decent pace. But the thing is, these days, the general level of production is so high among people on YouTube. If you look at look at a channel like Vsauce. Yeah,
absolutely. It's not even. There's no, you know, they just sort of stood there with a camera. The lighting's always good. The image quality is always amazing, and the audio quality. It's not like they, you know.
Well, this is it. I mean,
you know, you see them when they have like the, you know, the cameras with the sort of, is it like shotgun mic? Is that what it's called? Like attached to the top. And that's just somebody, you know, in a bedroom talking about makeup or something. So it's like, if you can't keep up with that, there's kind of no point doing it.
So let me just show you guys something really quick. If I go to the desktop here,
whoa, Guitar Hour exclusive.
Yeah, I'm not going to actually play this video, but so in terms of production values, this is my latest tutorial, which is not out yet, but I used Premiere for this actually, and little things like although I can't seem to get that window to disappear. Okay, so logos. Well, you don't get a logo unless you feel like you're going to do this professionally. It's not a thing that you need. But there's the picture of guitar, really high quality video, visualising the fretboard in a nice font. And then we've got the quality of video here. Now that's the 10th fret of the E string for you guys. Again, don't worry too much about this shape. I just want to teach you the principle of 3 note per string, or remind you if you're not familiar. And that, these days, is the quality of video that you need to be producing, and you've got to really have. You see the way the background's blurred out, the quality of the image there, and this is a fully rendered video, so this is the quality that the actual customer's going to get here. Same if you're going to put videos on, oh, that's horrible. Yeah. Same if you're going to put videos on YouTube. Sorry about that, guys. Really important to have that level of production. It doesn't cost that much these days, but you've got to learn how to use the software. So with that said, the other area we want to talk about is demo production and producing tracks.
Yeah. Because
it's a very popular thing for people to do these days in terms of producing backing tracks and selling those, or if you're doing demos of your own stuff. And I wanted to show you something that some of you guys will have seen before, and then I wanted to ask you about your setup as well. So I'll just show them this. A lot of guys out there will be just like me, and I guess you guys as well. I know we talked about this before. Guitarists first, keyboard players 9,000th. You know, you're just not. It just is not something I'm good at all. And this little toy plastic guitar here, the U-Rock guitar, is insanely powerful for demo production. Some of the keyboard solos on my album that I played were played on this for the demos, which is kind of insane. So I've got Cubase loaded up here, and again, I'm just going to move the stream over here so I can share my screen with you. Let me just shut that down and go to... What? Pad Shop's thrown a wobbly, has it? Is this still working? Please tell me it's going to work. No! Okay, hold on, guys. We seem to be having a few technical issues today.
Yeah.
What's going on?
It's never usual like this.
Nope. Okay, I've just saved that, so I'm just going to quit and then reload Cubase and then share the screen with you. Okay. Windows 10 especially can be very funny and finicky with audio. So yeah, Cubase looks like it's totally crashed. So bear with me a second, guys. Let me just quit Cubase. Okay, so usually if this happens, Cubase will load up straight away again. So fingers crossed, this will actually work. And the idea behind this U-Rock guitar, it's about 200 and something pounds, 220 pounds. This is an awesome MIDI controller that allows you to play all sorts of... Are you not going to work now, Cubase? Are you going to really be annoying? I don't believe it. That is very frustrating, because the only other way around this is to reboot my computer, and that's not an option right now. Okay, just end that task and end that task. I may not be able to show you this, guys, and I'm really annoyed about that. I may have to do a separate stream at some point later down the line for it. Yeah, it looks like I'm going to have to do that. That is really annoying because we were playing with this earlier on, and it's pretty insane, isn't it? And it's great fun, and I really wanted to show it to you, but for some reason, unless I can load one of these other... Oh, this might work. Let's see if this works. Fingers crossed.
Have you got any YouTube videos of you playing that?
Yes. Yeah, I can show you a YouTube video if not, guys, or at least link to a YouTube video. Let's just see if this works.
What was that about quality productions?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's good.
I deserve that.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is live, this is different. You always get technical issues when stuff's live. Although we've had none so far, this is the first time ever that the Guitar Hour suffered from technical issues, which is very frustrating. But I think it's Windows 10 related, because that's not loading either, which is highly frustrating. Okay, I will do a separate stream on using this basically at some point, but this basically is a very fantastic sounding, and well, not sounding, but useful MIDI controller, and you can play it just like a guitar. And like, how would you describe the ease of use in terms of like, we'll use the word tracking. It's not tracking, but like, it tracks pretty much everything you play, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's exactly as if it's as if you're pressing a key on a MIDI keyboard.
Yeah.
Essentially, it is that, isn't it?
Yeah, it's effectively like a lot of guitar players when they use MIDI. If you're used to using pickups, they'll talk about the latency and the tracking. So when you hit the note, how long does it take the unit to work out what the note you was that you played, and then convert it to MIDI, and then to the pitch on the actual synth you're using. This doesn't do that. It just immediately sends a MIDI trigger, so there's no latency at all. Unfortunately,
other than the inherent latency of MIDI.
Of MIDI,
itself,
yes,
which,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Let me just close Halo. That's not working either. That is so annoying. Sorry about that, guys. Let me just try it one more time, just in case. Although I don't think it's going to work. And possibly, let me pull the dongle out and then plug it back in again. Just to see. So annoying. So I guess the thing to learn from this is don't use Windows if you're going to be doing professional tasks like this. No, it's not going to work. Oh, that's so frustrating. Okay. What I might be able to do is plug it into my Mac here and use it with Logic. Let's try that really quick. So, while I'm doing this, why don't you tell them about your setup for drum programming and how you got into drum programming? And how you program your demos and how you do your, you know, the high level of production that you get with your actual demos.
Okay.
Or videos.
Shall I put that link so they know what I'm talking about?
Yes, absolutely.
So yeah, I mean, back in like the mid '90s, I had no one to play with and started making. Yeah, totally. And so we'd make backing tracks with Windows 3.1 and Cubase Lite, and I just started messing around in the piano roll editors and just figuring out how to program old GM MIDI drum sounds. And yeah, I got pretty good at it, and so I learnt to sort of kind of play drums, but only in my mind.
That's kind of a good way around of doing it, because if you get good at doing it with real basic tools, then when the stuff becomes better quality, surely, if you've got those core...
Yeah, so it's, how do I load a new tab in,
If you right click on Chrome, that's it, and then just go, new tab, new window, it's fine.
So yeah, and then as technology improved and you were able to get more, convincing real
more parameters.
Yeah, well, real samples for a start, because actual like proper recordings of drums, and
it's not like that kind of art attack.
Exactly.
That kind of thing.
Yeah. As that improved, and you get more velocity layers. Like I guess the skills built with it, but it always came from trying to, find recreate interesting backing tracks,
right.
Things I want to play, and because back in the day,
so you getting really like trying to doing things like getting every single fill, and the tune like bang on, like pardon the pun.
Exactly.
That was an accident. That one, that really was.
So I use Cubase, I have done historically, because one of the things that Cubase allows you to do is to create a drum map which I'm not. Correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, but I think it's the only sequencer that allows you to go to label the piano roll as actual individual drum articulations.
It's the NNR. You can't do it in Logic, that's for sure.
Yeah. So, and for doing very specific drum parts and having very specific control over all the articulations, and you know how open you want the hat, or which part of the snare skin you want to hit, and or whether the rims of the drums and things like that, how you want to, when you want to crash the ride or the bell, and all those things you can have very easy access to that in other sequences you can't. So I'm just going to post a link to something I did recently, a Jonathan Kreisberg solo. I transcribed the guitar solo and the drum part as it happened, as it turned out.
Because it's not enough to transcribe the guitar solo.
well, because I wanted to be able to play along to it, and it's in 5, and getting the
what tune is it? What's it?
South of Everywhere.
Oh, okay, alright.
So this link here is what I'm talking about. So that's got all programmed tune track drums.
Easy Drummer,
but with the jazz pack. And so what I did was take the original tune into the sequencer, line it up as best you can to kind of grid, and just create a drum map for all the different articulations that I'm going to be using, and then just essentially go through and transcribe the drum part. And you
clicked them in with the mouse effectively?
Yeah.
You didn't play anything in with the keyboard?
Yeah, I just programmed it in.
So you've essentially gone in like beat by beat, like hit by hit.
Yeah.
Madness.
Yeah. But I'm really, really fast at doing it because I've been doing it for like 19, 20 years.
Yeah. So how did that work with the Easy Drummer? Because I've looked at essentially I've kind of looked at that recently, and it seems like not the best way, but I thought the process was find something like a groove or whatever that's closest.
Well, this is the really frustrating thing, in that this bizarre little freak skill that I have is kind of irrelevant now, because Toontrack and all the other companies, they have such incredible libraries of MIDI, real drummers playing real human beats on electric kits.
Yeah.
And their libraries are so extensive that it's so much quicker for me to now use one of those and then just tweak it to what I want.
Even if just like, you know, the hi-hat and the bass are kind of the same.
Yeah.
They're close enough, then you can...
Exactly, and then you can just edit it, and you've already got that human feel there that I don't have to manually create myself. And
is there like...
But if you want
is a thing, it's like... Because again, I've not got that much experience with this kind of stuff, but is there not like some kind of mathematical thing that you can just get a full part that you've put in, and then it's like sort of hit a button that's just like humanised?
There is a humanised function, yeah.
Is it that convincing though?
No.
Okay.
Not for like something
dehumanised
like
then.
Especially on a jazz context, if you can't get
is it like a
quantized MIDI
randomised
performance,
velocity
and then,
almost sort of thing?
It's randomised velocity and randomised placement before and in front of the beat. Like the drummer plugin on Logic will do it. You can move things before and in front of the beat.
Push and pull thing.
Yeah, it's not that great to be honest. But if you are as sucky at programming drums as I am, then a great piece of software you can use, and I use this for almost everything backing track wise I've ever done, and that goes for stupid backing tracks I put together and then stick on Facebook, to professional backing tracks that I've put together for my own products and for Lick Library. I use a program called Stylus RMX, which I wanted to show you, but Cubase is not allowing me to. It's refusing to load. And Cubase is wonderful, guys, for just Windows 10 is the issue, not Cubase. It's not officially supported by Windows 10, or vice versa. Cubase don't officially support Windows 10. So that's why I'm having some issues. Although it worked perfectly, of course, before we came on air. But I use Stylus RMX, and it's a series of thousands of pre-recorded drum loops that you can do a huge amount of editing with, but they're audio. So it's guys like Greg Bichonette. Now I've got brain failure as to who the other drummers are. Session drummers, basically, really high-end session drummers who've recorded loads of loops. There's loads of break beats and dance loops.
One. Is that something you show me?
No. Although there are other companies like the Loop Loft
maybe
that sell Keith Carlock, Eric Harland, loads of drum loops that you can get. Mark Juliana is another one, just some fantastic stuff. You load them into Stylus RMX, you can change the tempo of the audio loops and they stay sounding great. The video I did on Facebook yesterday with the breakbeat thing, someone, I can't remember who it was, asked for the backing track. It's just a drum loop on Stylus RMX, and they're really inspiring because they tend to be quite upbeat and energetic, and because you can shift the tempo so much, they're great for practice tools. So Stylus RMX is great, and Trillion is the other plugin they make, which I do all my bass stuff with, and I program it, and it just is a nightmare for me, which is why this is so useful. So getting back onto this, I've plugged this into Logic through the little crappy speakers on my Mac, my little laptop here. So this is going to sound pretty horrible, but it'll show you the quality of the tracking here, or the MIDI, no MIDI conversion, it's just straight MIDI pitch data. So as I play, I'm playing with just my left hand. So that's kind of cool. It sounds like a little fart synth at the moment because it's running.
You're making it sound quite easy on there, though. It's like there is a learning curve with it. You've got to be really, really accurate.
There is a learning curve with it, and obviously I play legato, so it kind of suits my playing. You notice I'm only using my left hand. You can use your right hand as well. If I was to play, say, I'm going to play something much more simple now because. I find. You can hear there it's got some issues. I find if I use just the left hand, I hardly get any issues at all. No, it doesn't gent. Oh, you probably could get it to gent if you picked a sample.
I mean, it works more like a keyboard that way around.
Well, it works very much like a keyboard in that if I load a pad, for instance, I haven't got any nice synths on this particular computer. My dog's trying to get in. If I load a pad, for instance, electric choir, I don't know what this is going to sound like. Really cheesy through those speakers. You probably can't even hear it. These sounds are really good as well, it's just that unfortunately through these little speakers they sound horrible. Right, so you can definitely hear that. Now the deal with this is, I'm only playing with the left hand and it freaks people out because they feel like they need to hammer on. But it's set up so that you literally just touch the note and you get the pitch data. So you don't have dynamics as such, but you can. You can just touch a chord.
Can you program the sensitivity on it? Because when I was playing it before, this is probably me being maybe slightly sloppy, but on the guitar I'm used to if I was doing that kind of stuff and I'm playing a note. So on the A string, I'll have the bottom of my first finger muting the D string, but if you do that on there, another note will come out. Right, so you absolutely can. When I play, I don't do that. My fingers are always proud of, because I mute with the right hand. Right, okay. So I don't get that issue so much. Did you find that song?
Not really, no, I don't. My issue was like I slide so much and the sliding doesn't.
Yeah, I don't. I slide up a little. I'll go. But the problem is that the material that you slide over is not very slippy. So I tend not to do it. So basically, I'm using pull-offs, by the way. I'm not using just hammer-ons, but you can do, like if I play slowly. You can hear it's tracking all the pull-offs and hammer-ons that I'm doing, and then you've got the bar that you can. And even big sort of arpeggios. Oops. Will work. If you can play them. The temptation is to do this as if you were playing. Or if you're a Final Fantasy fan. Actually, that's hard to do because you have to do a bar across. So yeah, anyway, every sound sounds like a fart because of these speakers, but you get the idea. It's an incredibly useful tool for getting ideas down as far as demos goes if you're a guitar player rather than a keyboard player. Even if it's only just to get basic kind of chord progressions in, because you can get those in without kind of having to figure them out on a keyboard or click them in on a mouse.
Well, if you're sending it to a keyboard player to actually put a track down, you can go,
which is what
this is roughly what I'm going for.
Yeah.
Make it better, rather than sending them nothing and saying come up with something.
Yeah.
It just saves. If it is that kind of thing, if you're doing the kind of emailing tracks and stuff, it's just going to save 2 or 3 emails, because if you go come up with something and they send you something back, oh no, that's not what I was going for. You've got more of an idea if you can send them something.
Absolutely. So that's a very useful tool. All right, guys. So that's about all we've got time for. Just so you know what it is, if you want to check them out, it's the U-Rock guitar Generation 2 or Gen 2. And I've got the radius neck on this one as well, which is kind of important. The normal neck that they ship the guitar with has got the same spacing frets all the way up, whereas this one's more like a normal guitar neck. And these guys are working on a standard looking guitar version as well, if not already finished it. So really cool company, U-Rock Guitar. Check them out online, based in I think California, and they're lovely people. I've met them many times out now and they're lovely, so well worth checking out as far as MIDI controllers goes. So unless there's any other questions, I don't think there are. I think it's just people chatting.
Dan has some sweet Gurners.
Sweet what?
Gurners. Tom needs to learn to pull guitar faces.
Yeah. Well, I'm playing this guitar. You
Sweet
can't pull
Gurners.
guitar faces while playing this guitar.
It is incredible looking around this room and seeing these Fenari's and then that
This.
as well. It's the tool. It's
Yeah, it's the
handy.
tool for the job. That's
Tool
it,
for the job.
basically. So I'll probably,
Tool.
I may put a little list up on the Guitar Hour page sometime towards the end of this week, basically with some of this gear on, just kind of like listing the camera, listing the audio interfaces, the monitors, all that kind of stuff.
I mean,
Just
maybe
kind of a helpful post.
If you list kind of your kind of minimal,
Yeah, that's what I mean.
the minimum
Yeah.
of what you need, and then what you're actually using. So obviously you need a camera, and then what a camera is.
Yeah.
Because then you can kind of
going as a YouTube guitar player, or then
Yeah,
sort of
exactly, like a
working
toolkit.
studio type, self studio guitar players.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that would be a useful thing if you guys are looking for that kind of information. We'll stick that on the Guitar Hour Facebook page, which is facebook.com/the Guitar Hour, correct? Yeah.
yeah.
All right, guys. So thank you so much for joining the stream as usual. Sorry we had some technical issues in the middle with my webcam and also Cubase being really annoying. I had so many cool things to show you, but I couldn't show them to you. So we'll have to do it next time. Thanks for watching the stream, guys. Thanks for all the new followers, and we will see you next time.